Hey, so all right, I guess a lot of people just won't. I guess they won't let it go. So I don't know if a lot of people are familiar with going through things in life, and if I based my whole life on what happened last year publicly with you guys, yeah, I don't know where I would be right now if my life was just based on that. But I had other things going on and a lot of things overlapped. And when you see entitlement, especially when you're doing it, no one asked me to do it. All the things in my life that were kind of falling apart, it's all magnified. So, if you've ever gone through anything, you'll know that when someone, more often than not, when someone's overreacting over something, you guys might be on the internet a little too much, but when people overreact, it's there tends to be more going on behind the scenes that you probably don't know about. So, yeah, it looked like it was just about Death of Hope, but I had a lot of shit going on last year. We all did actually, and I'm better now, but by the end of the year I was on heavy medication with all the other shit I was dealing with, and Death of Hope was just a fraction of what I had to contend with when it came to negative shit. So obviously, negative shit affected me at the time, you know. So I'm sorry to tell you, but I am a human being. Just because you watch people on the internet doesn't mean they lose their humanity and they're this perfect person that sometimes people think they are. And yeah, and if you were listening carefully to what I said last year, I guess this will be the only time I mention it, just for the people that like to talk crap in this stream that I'm doing, just me drawing and actually taking a break from Death of Hope. I haven't put Death of Hope down ever, really. I was just going through a moment, like I said. I was having a human moment, you know. I guess the only difference between me and everyone else is that, I have it was a community that saw my outburst through, and I think that was the mistake is, you know, being on the computer at that moment in time. So I don't know. If you haven't ever experienced that, I can understand why you would think certain things about somebody, but you gotta understand, guys, if anyone acts like that, like I did, it wasn't right. Definitely. More often than not, like I said, they're dealing with other shit. I think if it was just, if it's just Death of Hope, I've been doing this for a long time already. I've already released, several trailers, and I've released part one. In that time frame, if that was like the biggest issue I was dealing with this fan made stuff, then I would have like thrown in the towel a long time ago. But the fact that last year the way things happened, and then how some people couldn't really put some dots together about maybe something's going on with this guy, then yeah, it looks like something else to you, and it sucks, but sadly that's the reality, I guess. That's what just people think. But I've actually, it's actually quite interesting to have a public um, view on everyone's things. It's almost like a social experiment in a way through what I see and how I'm just observing the way people react to certain things based on what went on, and it's just the telephone game, man. Like, so. But yeah, there's people here that know that I'm still working on it. The idea that I've stopped came from circle jerking the idea that I did based on information that did not come from my own mouth. So wherever you get your information, it's up to you. You know. And anyways, um, the reason why sometimes I do these streams is one, just to share with you what I've been doing. This is me taking a break from Death of Hope. If you want to know what the hell this is more of me reaching into the fantasy aspect of what I used to like growing up. But yeah, so yeah, just let the man talk. Venting frustrations is fine. I think you might be overplaying your outburst. That really did change my entire perspective in the hobby and the IP. Well, if you can't let other people determine how you feel about the hobby. Um, when I got in the hobby, it was because I was interested in it, and no one else had any sway as to what I thought about it, because I liked it for what it was, not for who was enjoying it, which just comes, and meeting great people along the way. That's just a bonus. But, when you get into something like this, if I'm swaying your opinion on the hobby, then that's on you, man. That should not be the case. You should like the hobby for what it is. Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, like you guys gotta understand. Not everyone. I know that not everyone's thinking this way, but you guys gotta understand that behind people on these platforms is a human being, and I had a moment of weakness. And if you can tell me, if you can say to me that you haven't had one of those, in your, privately, the only difference is I had a camera on my face, but everyone's had those moments, and of course they're overreacting moments, but you know, there's just things outside of people deal with things outside of what they're doing. Like when someone's stressing out at their job, sometimes it might not even be their job. It could be something else entirely. It could be family matters. It could be losing a loved one. So, and yeah, so when the thing about not talking on camera sometimes is, I don't want to have to confine my partner to a life of walking on eggshells around the house, because this mic picks up literally everything there is. So when I do these streams, it's more about keeping myself on track with what I'm doing here. Like, I want to, like, doing these streams, I actually get these things done, like, because I can do them like 7 hours straight. So as a relatively new fan, 3 years, it's not only your opinions on it that swayed me, but mainly the general lack of grim dark that you brought to life in Death of Hope. Oh yeah, yeah. But yeah, man, it's like, I I had to actually, I went through a cleansing moment, like body and mind, when I had my Christmas break. Um, I just removed myself from the internet. I was getting volatile. There was things about everything that frustrated me about what was going on with this hobby was kind of like just magnified over a lot of things, and had to back away from that for a bit just to kind of catch myself. So as although I'm still passionate about bringing in something that's old. I'm not. I don't bring the amount of poison I used to. you know, you can call it that. But yeah. Just make Truman show and we're like, hey man, I made it to one of these. Hey Nico, nice. But yeah, guys, point of weakness. Everyone's got one, and it's not like the past year or year and a half has it been? I don't know. Has been exactly normal, right? Everybody's pretty much on edge, and now more than ever, really. Let's see, maybe. Uh, 2020 was a shit year. Hell yeah, it was. Some people, you know, some people didn't feel it, and that's fine. And I'm glad that I don't you don't wish that on anybody, but you can definitely tell based on people's attitudes. Anyway, I'll stop talking about that. that's not why that's not why I logged on to do this. This is me just taking a break. I've been doing this for about a week, so this is my last. This will be the last stream I do for this, and then I'll pause on this. Like I won't work on this anymore, and then I'll come back to it at another time and continue doing the streams then. Oh man, but yeah, one jerk in every crowd. Yeah. Well, that's the thing, right? If there's enough things on your plate that's negative or shitty, it's just you know but yeah, the demons I'm doing here are mostly inspired by the artwork from Slaves to Darkness, stuff like that. I'll have one where it's like a scorpion type of thing. But yeah, for people who, if you're new to Warhammer and don't use the online community as your frame of reference of how the hobby is like. the best way to do that is to go to a hobby shop and interact with the people there. Um, that's why I think never let people online sway how you feel about this hobby, especially me. And I think you'll enjoy it more. For a lot of us, that's where our love for it came from. Just going into those shops, talking to the people in there, looking at the products that are inside, and painting with people, making new friends. So yeah. Well, anyway, you cut it. I'm fan of everything you do. Thanks, man. Is it for the Death of Hope series? So this is, although this is fantasy. There's going to be a moment in the next release that definitely shows something chaotic. That's all I'll say about that. But the next video coming out though will be my last one. As for part 3, I'm gonna wait until I can figure things out in my life first, um, before that even becomes an option. I think I might have to do like a video about last year, just because I was in such a state where I couldn't even really tell people what was going on. And well, to be honest, most people don't like talking about their personal life, really. Like, how many things in your life, if someone asked you what was going on, you would say none of your business. Like, just because I'm on the internet doesn't mean people are entitled to that information. But what they did see was a product of the crap I was going through. So, um, yeah, all these little details. So, like, as you can see, like, I'm doing all these tiny little details, and when you zoom out, you almost think, well, those details don't even, matter. But this will be made into a poster, so all these details up close, you'll actually appreciate in the final thing. What do you think about the chaos in Warhammer 40k? Um, well, like I said, what drew me in was fantasy way back, and the art style was completely different to how it is now, and that was my impression of chaos, was through fantasy. So um, I don't know. I honestly couldn't tell you about what's going on, what I think about the chaos nowadays, because I honestly haven't been uh, up to date with all the new stuff. So um, I could hope that it's something that the chaos fans are happy with, but I'm not really sure. I couldn't really give you an answer for that one about how it is now. But this is how I wish it was like right now. Kind of like what I'm painting up here. You know. All this fur. You know what? Um, if you wanted like a tip on doing fur and stuff, literally drawing every strand really helps sell the look. Like drawing every single fur or hair or whatever. But when I make sure that on the base of it I have like shading tones done, so that when I start doing the fur, they take up the tones that are going on that they're being put on. That way you still get that definition underneath. So, yeah. Sorry if I don't respond to a lot of comments. I just want to be able to get through a lot of this, but I'll look up and read once in a while. But yeah, like I said, that guy was asking, why don't you go on? What's the point in going live when you don't put on your mic? Well, like I said, I don't want to make my partner feel like she's got to be quiet and stuff like that, like all the time. And also, it helps motivate me to get through this faster. So, all right. Also, this creature here. Excuse me. I hope it didn't hurt your ears with me sneezing. Everything's corrupted. They lost their appeal as a dark mirror to the Imperium. Oh, that's go into 30K. That's a huge reason why I love 30K is because it's not as they're not as tormented or twisted. Well, they can be depending on which legion you go for, but what application do I use for 3D animations? I use Maya for that stuff. What do I think about the whole Space Wolves Viking theme? The Space Wolves are freaking awesome, man. I think they took it a little too far though with their mutations. That was kind of weird. If you like it, you like it. But their current mutations, pretty nutty. Yeah, sorry if I missed some of your guys' comments. I mean, I want old-fashioned dreadnoughts, snipers, and assassins, drop pods, whirlwinds, and maybe a new tank based on the Sakaran. I honestly, even though I'm an Imperium fan, I really am thirsty for Xenos and Demon stuff because they've just been focusing primarily on Space Marines. That I'm just kind of like, it's fun to be Imperium, but when you got no interesting enemies to fight in terms of like their models and stuff, like um, I don't know. I just feel I don't know. I think they need to bring everything up to speed. But I get it. I know where their money's at. Yeah, this tree is gonna take a while, but it's gonna be nice. It's based on the Tree of Souls, but not as twisted and you know. Plastic Sisters of Battle. Yeah, man. I had a lot of friends who've been waiting for that one, that release for a while, and it only came out as like a special box set, right? And then individually, I can imagine they would just be so pricey. I mean, I'm not one to really complain about their prices since I usually get their Forge World stuff, but $70 for a squad of Cataphracti. Well, it's cheaper than, and plus you get more out of it than you do a Forge World purchase. But yeah, I can't really comment on the whole price thing actually. But in terms of like the state of the world right now, that stuff's pretty expensive. Here. So, and the the trim on this base here on this pedestal is more inspired from the runic patterns they had in the Slaves to Darkness book. So it's a lot of this is going off of that, especially the vista here. That'll be fun to do. But this is kind of like, this is what I've been talking about with GW and their artwork, is that they'll have artwork that looks, that looks finished, and then in the background, like to them, like, okay, this to them this is finished, and then the background is kind of like all blurry or outlined, or this is basically finished to them. But to me, this is not. All this in the background has to receive the same amount of detail as this guy's neck. And what's cool about artwork like that is people tend to get lost in it and sometimes feel like they could imagine themselves being there. Kind of like, even though I'm vividly creating it for people, it's there's still more in the mind to create when it comes to, like, giving them a solid base to look at and then thinking about it in their head. Even Germany was 95 for 5. But you can't put a price on good sculpts, so 20. That's the thing I love about Forge World is their casts. There's just so much that you can get out of it versus plastic. I know plastic is getting much better, but with a 2-part mold, it's extremely limited. Even if you cut it up in AutoCAD or whatever, it's there's still a lot of limitations versus resin molds. I normally spend around €30 per month on figures and then paint them up. That's more than enough for me. I don't mind the cost. My last video game cost me 75 quid, which is so pricey now. Yeah, I know, right? But with this hobby, you also get a lot of mileage out of your purchases because you put you put them on the table to play with other people, and you can have them for years. Currently drawing Celtic knots for my college project. Some of them are really hard to draw. Yeah, Celtic knots are awesome, dude. It's a very it's a very interesting culture, the Icelandic stuff. Using Photoshop, yeah. But in terms of Fantasy Flight games, I haven't played the role playing boxes that they've come out with as of recent. Alright, so alright. I have to remember that there's a railing right underneath. Like there's a railing like right there. So I can't, well, I guess I can paint it and then just draw the railing right over it so that I don't have to worry about blending the two together. Someone asked if I could do a tutorial on this. I'm honestly not the best at doing a tutorial for this kind of stuff. I could do like a stream where I kind of show you what's going on through my head when I'm doing things, but yeah, maybe I'll do that sometime. Uh, Result: went to make a coffee, found a Kit Kat in the cupboard. That is a good find. Kit Kats are awesome. That's you. I'm just gonna finish up this tree in the back here. think one of the things I'll do when I'm finished Death of Hope is make artwork like this, and then make sculptures for 3D printing, like terrain stuff, not characters, but like this tree. Although this would be hard to, like, you know, drawing something and then sculpting it is two different things. And I mean, I can do it. It's just I don't know if I can get this um, look, but I can give it a shot. That would be sick on a tabletop. Is my own. It would be cool. Yeah, putting it on the tabletop would be awesome. I mean, I would like to have to make like a grim dark fantasy forest, since Old World is coming back. I think that would be a good time to do it, but um, yeah, obviously without the sigils and stuff of uh, chaos and all that. Is your own IP on the back burner? Yeah, I gotta. I had to come to grips with the fact that I can't work on uh, my own thing just yet, and I actually have to finish Death of Soul. It's tough because once you dig a hole like I did with Death of Hope, um, and as a creative, you're kind of stuck with that until you're done with it. It'll be worth it. Yeah, the exercises I've been doing with my painting and drawing kind of makes me, because this is, I've been drawing since I was, since I could hold a pencil, and I wonder where I would be if I chose drawing as my main subject. Be pretty far along, but it's just nice to be able to do this once in a while. Alright. These guys here. Yeah, the runtime of the next release is 30 minutes, and I'm thinking of releasing them in 10-minute chunks. We'll see. I don't know. Otherwise, it would take, a while for you to see anything, really. I'll see how it goes. Such an amazing hole to be in, Death of Hope. I would jump in that hole. In terms of the labor involved with it, thing is, right, like, with IPs, changing and stuff these days, and you it's such a marathon to do that you don't know where your heart's going to be at with the subject matter in the next several years that you're doing it. And I've had times where I'm just like, in my head, I'm just like, oh, I am not into this setting anymore, But I just keep telling myself, just release what you're gonna make, and at least then you've released something that to you like, So that's where I keep going. But also the support I get on Patreon helps a lot with keeping me afloat with the project itself. Because I think I use them as more of like what is it, accountability purposes, more than anything. They help remind me that people want this, and I know that. It's just when it's like a support like Patreon, it's a lot more. It keeps you in line. $30, damn, yeah. And trust me, it won't be just 30 minutes of long camera pans. worth worth the wait. Either way, can't wait to see it. Aside from 4K, what other genre or hobby you're into? Wait, please post Patreon here. I want to sign up. You can find the Patreon on the. I don't like actively posting it. That's not what I'm. That's not why I do this. But you can find it in the part 1 video. It'll be there, and you'll be able to see what's been worked on recently on it too. So there's a lot of stuff there. But to the public eye, they haven't seen anything basically. So pretty exclusive stuff. Aside from 40K, I like fantasy, and I think someone said this in the beginning of the chat, but from Pokemon to Warhammer. And that's the thing, right? Like, I know how to keep my interests separate from one another because I like them for what they are, not for what I want them to be. And a lot of people still don't know that about me. Where Pokemon is something I do like, but not the newer stuff. It's more like the nostalgic stuff of Generation 1 and 2. I know a lot of people aren't into that stuff, and that's also the reason why I don't really talk about it that much. Is not everyone's into that one, so I don't bother. Yeah. While everyone plays that Pokemon Go stuff, I whip out my Game Boy Color to start screwing around with Pokemon Crystal. Got it now. Nice. Yeah, thanks, man. I'll see you there. 90s Ash, Brock, and Misty will have a special place in my heart. I liked it when, when TV shows had that fuzziness to them, and they also had like really thick outlines, like the cartoons. They had a charm that went with it, that type of visual, kind of like a VHS look to them. And nowadays, when I've seen I've peeked at some of the animations that they have nowadays for stuff like that, and it's so crisp, and the outlines of the drawing, like the line work, is so fine, and it's like it's like Photoshop. Someone took a paint bucket and it just like dropped it into the borders. It's so fine that it just like it doesn't feel the same anymore, Whereas back then the lines are very thick, everything was a bit grainy. I felt like that was part of the experience for me. So it is definitely a nostalgic thing. It has nothing to do with, yeah. The VHS look you're talking about, it's nice. I'll check it out. Yeah, from Instagram is cool. And the VHS look is also works well with like it was a movie I watched a long time ago. It was Ice and Fire. It was that old fantasy movie, Ice and Fire. You guys remember that one? And what was it? And the old drawings that you'd see for like rock videos or cartoons. It was uh, what was it called? Heavy metal or something. You know what I'm talking about. The one where the girl goes through different. Um, she becomes like a. There's that orb, that green orb that kills everything, and it's being passed on to person to person. Remember that? Fire and Ice, yeah. Frank Frazetta, yeah, yeah, dude. I love that kind of stuff. And I guess that's for me. That's where fantasy is for me. And I think for a lot of us that aren't into the AOS stuff, it's kind of because we grew up with that aesthetic for fantasy. So it's a bit different, you know. Heavy metal got me into VOC. Yeah, I really liked the artwork in that movie. Well, to me, it was a movie. I know it was a long ass music video, but you know, it'd be cool if I could animate this like 2D. That would take like 20 years. I'm so glad I didn't get into 2D animation. And if you're in that industry, you know, more power to you and more respect. I just couldn't do the frame by frame drawing. Um, I just like drawing something once and that's it. But I really respect people who are drawing detailed stuff and then making it animated. The old stuff that I used to like is the stuff like Akira. You know, the golden age of animation. Um, there's other stuff too. Remember that guy in the desert who acted like Bruce Lee? I forgot. I forgot what it was called. I don't know if you got. It's like a. It almost looks like ancient Terra. If you were to relate it to Warhammer, it looks like it's just dunes. It was like a Mad Max kind of thing, and there's this guy walking around who was just going like "Wata wata," you know, like that high pitch voice that Bruce Lee did. It was kind of ridiculous though. Like it was really over the top. It was like crazy. Ranks or X. I haven't actually seen that one. I'll check it out. Oh, you know what reminds me of the heavy metal animation is the really old man. I don't like the idea of 40K being an anime. And to me, when someone says anime, I think immediately bug-eyed, characters. So that I mean, to me, that's the filter. But if you're talking about like old school anime, oh man, then I would be all for it. That's the thing too. Like if Japanese made Warhammer stuff, the context of which they tell their stories is so different that to people who are used to the Western look of or the Western storytelling of Warhammer would be might be a little put off by the way they would do it, but I don't know. Fist of the North, yeah, that's okay, yeah, that's the one. Fist of the North, that one. That was absolutely nuts. I didn't watch Fist of the North until like the 2000s. I think there was a lot of anime that was not available to us until the 2000s. Um, but yeah, that's where my love of anime is, and is when it was in the golden age of animation, where Japanese animations made Disney's animations look like garbage, like hand drawn stuff. I mean, would you say Berserk quality 40K? Berserk is pretty. It's pretty intense. I've seen the whole comic. It's way. It's pretty dark. I mean, there's things in there. I don't like the rapey bits. I don't. That's not for me. I mean, there's some really gross shit in that one, but the overall aesthetic of Berserk is really cool. It's just those moments are. That's where I draw the line. I know I do this grim dark stuff, but I got a moral compass, you know. Yeah. If I could see 40K in old Clone Wars cartoon style. Clone Wars, okay, so I didn't like Clone Wars art style, but I fell in love with Clone Wars because of the way it was being told, like the story and everything, and so I fell in love with Clone Wars like that. So that's when an art style that I don't like becomes something I don't mind watching is when it's delivered in such a way. So uh, so we won't see any Emperor's Children. I don't mind doing Slanesh stuff. It won't be. I think the commercialized way of looking at Slanesh is, all that pleasure stuff, like, with like the perversions and stuff. But there's so much more to Slanesh than just that people don't really cover. They just think it's all like pervy, but it's actually like a lot more than that. It can be psychopathic. It can be like just a lot of things that I feel like a lot of people miss um, with doing the God of Pleasure stuff. Like pleasure isn't exclusive to just that. And I think I could do a good job with that one because I wouldn't make it pervy. It would be more like actual. Um, there's different forms of pleasure. It doesn't have to be that. Ditto on the rapey stuff. Yeah, dude. Yeah, some of it's a bit too much. Like, you know, we need more Slash stuff. Graham McNeil doesn't do them justice then. Same with Corn Violence and Insanity. Well, the thing is, yeah, with Corn, you know how he's frustrated that he can't win against Slanesh because basically be seeking glory and combat and stuff. That's a form of pleasure, and so he's trapped in that, right? So Alright, I'm going to add some different shapes to this here. Oh, I'm holding in a sneeze. I'm holding in a sneeze. Oh, God. That was hard. I'm going to make it a little bit dark where the tree meets with this guy's arm, just to help pop out the guy that's in front of it. Put some shadow with that there. Blood, the Last Vampire art style for Warhammer would be nice. Blood, the Last Vampire. Let me check that out. Oh. I think so too. I just think if they worked on the eyes. Okay, I'll tell you something about anime, like Japanese anime. When it comes to the eyes, it's gonna make or break grim dark or horror. If you've ever watched an anime horror that has bug-eyed characters, it ruins the horror. It completely ruins it. So I think if it comes to Japanese artists, I think the Japanese artist has to take into account those kind of things. But yeah, the rest of the art, I think, is fine. But yeah, character eyes can make or break a horror aesthetic or a serious moment in anything. Because you notice when you watch most anime stuff, you're mostly just there for the ridiculousness, or you know. And if the story is what you're there for, that's. I really think it depends on how exposed you are to that art style. Because I can imagine some people who watch this stuff all the time. They can easily get scared, or see the horror aspect much more easily, just because that's what they're used to with that art style. But for most people who don't usually watch anime, it's not something that you can really take that seriously when their eyes are that big, and you know. I feel like for a gritty animation, you want characters to not look so perfect in the face either. And there's some good examples of Japanese anime where the faces are taken more seriously in a way that helps set the tone. So that's what I think anyway. All right, time to turn this up to 100. Oh, sorry, you just saw Chaos Ruins. Just practicing the language, you know. Well, the vocal language anyway. That was more. I think that's their sound writing. It's more treated like a symphonic thing. I don't know. I forgot. I have to go read it again. What the description says for that type of text. Yeah, one of my weaknesses when it comes to painting in Photoshop is, especially when it comes to like this type of style, is would be coloring it. So I just play with black and whites because it's just more relatable to me. I can do this with like a pencil, so I understand like the different processes on how to go about these things. But if it comes to color, then it all falls apart. I'm just like, oh. Uh, do you mean you don't like the CGI Clone Wars or the older 2D? No, no, I like them. By or is it that both would appeal? No, I like them because well, the thing is, Star Wars it doesn't have that. There's an expectation with it, right? Like I like an art style if it's relevant to the direction that the universe is in. And for Star Wars, it's like you can kind of mold that into a lot of things. Whereas Warhammer is just a little more rigid in a way, but I mean, there's a lot that you can do with it, but there's a to keep it's a very delicate balance to keep it what it is when you're changing it in different forms of artistic vision. Junji Ito, yeah, Junji Ito is my favorite Japanese comic artist, um, because of the amount of detail he puts into one page that brings out that horror aspect. And he's the kind of artist where if you look at his drawings, you know, you can almost have jump scares reading his books just because he'll 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 he will ramp you up on the last page before a jump scare, and the way he jump scares is when you turn the page, you're already tense from the previous page, and when you turn the page, he has just like this face, and it's got like millions of strokes of pencil and pen in there, and I'm just like, and it can be horrifying, and it's not just like a jump scare where it's like for that moment. When you're looking at the picture, it's so unsettling even after the fact of you being startled. So that's what I love about his work. He's a good one. Yeah, Junji Ito is a very good artist when it comes to horror, and you can notice that the way he draws his characters, they don't have the bug-eyed look to them, right? It's still Asian looking, the characters, but it and that's the thing about the Japanese art, like they can make like every single race, and they would all look like they would all look Asian for some reason. You know, you can have black, Hispanic, you know, in there, and the way Japanese artists draw, they almost they almost look slightly Asian. So it's yeah. But with Junji Ito's work, he tones the eyes down a lot. They're almost normal, but they're still anime, kinda. You know what I mean. Anyways, but he's a good example of make or break with the subject of eyes. I believe there's been a realistic adaptation, and then there's also been a cartoon adaptation, and they don't do any justice to Junji Ito's work. Um, and it's not. And if you're ever familiar with Junji Ito's work, yes, the story is creepy, but the art sells the context of his story, like the creepiness of it. Um, and so when you put that into an animation, not like for example, like if you look at this tree I made, imagine animating that to sway left and right and then do a twist. Um, that's a nightmare to even think about because it's such a huge task. And Junji Ito's work is like that, where it's so detailed, and you need to keep all those details because they make the scene. Uh, they make the scene and they set up some of the story aspects of the creepiness factor. And it's just something that can't be translated into animation, unfortunately. But if they're planning to do a new one, that's interesting. I don't know about that, but that would be cool. Let's see here. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out for a moment. Okay, where should I gotta finish this guy here. So let's do that. Has GW released any of those animations yet? They did have one where it was 2D, right? Nope. Yeah, it takes a while. Animation. See, even with a whole team, it takes a long time. So, still nothing but screenshots. None that we know so far. It's all been trailers since last year, I think. Oh my god, I hope they don't show so many trailers that you basically watched all of it, or you know. Remember back then? Uh, I'm gonna start reminiscing again. Back then, when it came to movies and stuff, the trailers were so short and they were so vague, and you didn't really know what was gonna happen for the most part until you either watched it or you started hearing people talking about parts of the movie. Word of mouth is sucks because like I think we're missing a lot of that in terms of keeping things hush hush. Just with online, you can just see everything, and trailers just show you everything anyway these days. And I think what's going to be cool for you guys is the experience you're going to get from Death of Hope is because everyone is doing action, um, and action is going to be in the next one. But there's a lot more going on. It's action is it's in the background, and it's happening around the character, but they're experiencing it in a way that you can almost feel like you're there. I think it'll be a nice experience and something that's fresh for you guys. Because right now it's just um, it's just straight up bolter porn right now with action. And what's taking this one and what's going to be taking this episode a long time too is it's the biggest release of everything I've done, and it's covering like a cityscape. Um, so there's a lot of that going on. Let me get caught up here. Guys, what should I do if I learned the secret of my order? This mystery concerns the Geno seeds and the fact that our order was created on the basis of the Iron Warriors. I think they're waiting for a good time to release marketing stuff. Yeah, they've got a lot of stuff going on. And now they show most of the plot in a 7-minute trailer. I think that's what the most people who read the books want to see: dialogue between characters, not just action. Well, yeah, like if you've read most of the books, it's it's mostly dialogue. um, but for the experience that I'm bringing, it's a mix of dialogue and just world experience. Just like kind of like what I'm doing here. I'm bringing you in there visually, and eventually when this is finished, you'll feel like, oh man, I wish they made a RPG game of this. Sorry, like a video game. I mean, um, it's hard to explain, but I think it'll be refreshing to see. I think one thing I will say that I will comment about it. It's a bit of a spoiler, but the next release takes will show, so all the characters in part one, you'll know exactly what happened to them in the second release. You'll be witnessing what they went through. Um, and the next release will be about the mother before she changed. Uh, I always imagine a mother or wife grieving at the sign of their family member as lobotomized servitor now. Action just grimmed her. Yeah, as far as manga artists go, I think Takahiko Inui is probably the best. I don't know if I probably butchered his name. Check out a time lapse of him drawing sometime. Yeah, I will. I'll take note of that. They're waiting to drop their Horus Heresy revamp for your project to finish so the sales rocket up. Well, if it makes their sales go up, I'm not, I'm all for that. Um, Talking Sesh, yeah. Mark taking us to Nope Town. Yeah, that sounds ominous. Yeah, it'll be cool. And there's gonna be now. I promised there would be no canon characters. There will be obviously canon names dropped, but there is one character that was all over the place when all this was happening. And through that character, you will see these things that I'm drawing right now. Um, that's probably really vague, but I'm trying not to give it away. He he helps out the mother in a way. Books don't lend themselves well to combat-heavy scenarios, making character expansion and dialogue a necessary dialogue a necessity. Yeah, forms suit combat much better, like art pieces. Yeah, I think it was Betrayer, but the way they depicted close quarters combat when things went from long distance to to sluggish melee combat. I think the way they described the combat between legionaries is one guy shoots another guy, that guy drops, but then the guy that shot that guy gets cut up with a chainsword, and the guy with the chainsword gets shot in the face. Like it's just like, uh, you know, You still have the Gilman model laying around. Yeah, so I sold the 3 Gillimans I had, and I ended up purchasing it again because I couldn't actually let go of Warhammer. The setting you were drawing probably smells of rat and burnt plastic. Probably. We see more Calibor back. Yeah. I am probably late in the stream or even the videos before this, but has GW ever approached you for your Warhammer work? Oh yeah, I haven't even mentioned that. No, I got no contact at all, and that's fine. I mean, I didn't, I'm not doing this stuff for that. You know, I don't want it really, uh, and I don't. There's that, and I don't know if you know my work is what they're looking for in their current vision. You know, it's heavy, and you know, and you got people like that Hasbro guy leading the animation department. I think that's what he's doing, right? Um, I doubt that this is the kind of stuff that uh, they're looking for. Uh, better that you didn't. They would have bought you a silence stiff your creativity. Like, oh yeah, I mean, the Iron Warriors project turned into a Imperial Guard project. Thanks, GW. Oh really? I was looking forward to that one because it's 30K. Damn. I hope that's not true. But that if it is, that sucks. Well, I mean, Imperial Guard players are gonna be happy, but when you're when you're shown it was gonna be, you know, Iron Warriors, and you get something else, that's a little cruddy, especially for Iron Warriors fans. I read Iron Within. The reason why I read it was just for the purposes of getting to know more about Taro Nicodemus's visuals, like what he's wearing, um, stuff like that. So because I'll be doing a miniature of him through kit bashing, and I needed to make sure I got every detail of his armor as much as could be presented anyway. And yeah, but no, it was a good read. I mean, the Dreadnought was such a badass. They'll focus on 2 guardsmen now. Holy shit! Wait, I gotta scroll up a bit. Astari's got a makeover, and who knows what else they'll change to suit GW's sales cycle. Corpo stuff do tend to get in the way. I heard the GW probably get iffy with the intense violence. they'll focus on 2 guardsmen now instead of Iron Warriors who maybe remained loyal. GW's missing out. Your art reminds me a lot of the black and white illustrations from the old 5th edition books. You can put out some of your pieces next to the artwork in those books, and it would fit perfectly. Oh yeah, that's like I've said before. This is literally. I grew up. My art style formed around their subject matter and their illustrations and stuff. It was just that part of my. It's that much a part of me, right? Like, I think a lot of things I can thank them for in that regard. Valrak talked about it the other day too. Oh, I'll check out his video. Argyle Tal or Corn now. There's no. Oh, are you trying to guess as to the canon character I was talking about? There's only one, and it's not a Space Marine. It's actually probably not what you'd expect, really. But he is the only way I can show a chaos realm through like there's no. I feel like there's no other way to really bring the chaos realm into the animation without that canon character. And I feel like, well, anybody with a blade can do it. Well, with that specific blade, wink, wink. That probably gave it away already. The Iron Warriors animation change hurt a lot. Quite disappointed about that change. Yeah, I mean, I am too. I was looking forward to that one. Have you read any Peter Ferrari work? Let's see here. I haven't. The recent one that came out I heard was good, and that was due to this. Let's see here. Is it written by him? The recent one, the Reverie or whatever. I haven't read any of his books. I don't think. No, I haven't. But I heard the one that he did, the Reverie, or I don't know how to pronounce that. That was good. You heavily leaned into Betrayer for source material. Which is your preference? So a lot of my source material, yeah, it comes from Know No Fear and Betrayer for the inspiration for the overall Death of Hope project, in terms of the way things play out. But as far as like the aspects of chaos and stuff, it's especially stuff like this. This is coming out of inspirations from Slaves to Darkness. What's your favorite Chaos Space Marine Legion? The World Eaters. Hands down, which is your preference? You've heavily there. I'll check Peter's stuff out, yeah. It would have to be audiobook nowadays. I can't even, I don't have time to read anything. It sucks. I have too much on my mind. Even when I have like downtime where I could just read instead of drawing, it's there's too much going on, whereas drawing, it distracts me. Whereas if I read, I get distracted by my thoughts of this project or work. I wonder what they'll do with the final battle between Horus and the Emperor. I really hope they do it do it justice, man. Because that's their that's the grand finale, right? Even though there's things that happen after slaying Horus, like slaying Horus is basically what everyone's mostly after. Or sorry, the Emperor. I'm not. I'm more of an. Oh, you'll get more of the Night Lords, buddy. You'll see. The old Ultramarines movie is that holds a special place in a lot of fans' hearts, mostly due to the fact that it was the first, official animation from that was published by them, and I know a lot of people don't understand us for liking it, but it's that's just what it is. But the story itself was pretty standard, Warhammer. You got especially the demon falling, and then the combat fighting. While it, when the captain fell with the demon, like, and then they were just fighting on the way down, like that's pretty Warhammer. But yeah, if you start getting into the canon aspects of it, um, in a way, I kind of wish they just were scouts or devastators if they were that brand new. But all right, whatever. I'm not gonna. Anyways, to some of us, it was cool. My introduction to Warhammer was playing Fire Warrior. I played Fire Warrior back then. I had no idea it was Warhammer because I didn't know who Taus were. I wasn't introduced to Tau. I had no idea. So um, it was only later when I saw a codex on my way into GW that I realized that they were part of that universe. So I was like, whoa, okay. And Space Marine, which led me to dive into the grittier lore of 40k and realizing I prefer darker 30k. Yeah. Requiem, Infernal. Excuse me. Yeah, Warhammer Horror is an entirely different section now, isn't it? For people who just want the grim dark stuff, right? That new line that they have of books is the. Well, I don't know if it's can't say it's really new anymore, but okay. Let's see. All right, you know what I'm gonna do? I am going to draw a line so that I focus on that area and I don't leave that line. It's so easy to leave an area and start doing other things. So I'm gonna try staying in this area and just kind of and finish this guy. There. I'll tone it down just so it's not so jarring. All right. Let's do this. been hearing the Warhammer horror stuff is good. Might jump in on it. Yeah, I have to check it out too. I haven't, but I got so many things I want to do, but I can't. But what the book I do want to jump into as soon as I'm finished all this is the Conrad saga. Oh shit! What layer am I on? Ah, damn it! All right. Yeah, the Conrad saga. What's your process like, if you don't mind me asking? You start with the subject first and then background? Are you talking about the illustration I'm doing? Actually, thank you, I should say. What's the what's the premise of that book? Or again, like the newer. I am reading your quotes. I'm just kind of reading in my head just because it's a lot. I find that if I read out loud, I'm slower. So I might read if there's more coming. I might read that after the stream. I want to make sure I get this done. What time is it now? 3:26. Uh, and with that, I have things to do. Thank you for the stream. Yeah, I'll check out your quotes later because there was a lot. Don't read it. You'll open. Make a good 30k or even 40k ammo. The wretched world shall burn. Yeah. I would love to see this in color. This type of artwork, um, I'd, I'd probably need a colorist for that because this artwork is intended to go without the colors. Once you start putting colors, you have to think about material, and I haven't really gotten to that part in my illustrations. Really, I don't really like coloring. But yeah, once color's involved, you have to think about materials and stuff like that. Whereas if I just do black and white, I can kind of go ham. I mean, here I'll show you like a little. If I were to make, I won't do it right now, but yeah, it would just be it's more difficult. It'll use different parts of my brain that I'm not using right now. uh, will you tell us what you think of the Conrad saga when you finish reading it in the future? Yeah, I don't mind doing that. Hey Jake, by the way. Hold on. I don't know. How do you do this? Oh yeah. There you go. You got. Dude, your way of drawing is better than Gustav Doré illustration of Dante Inferno. Well, you have to look at it this way, right? Hiring an artist to do this level of work is it's pretty expensive. So I wouldn't do a full comparison unless I haven't really seen his personal art, which is where you would then need to measure it. I wish the Dante's Inferno game was this doomy. I liked that game. It was kind of like God of War, wasn't it? Is that the same game we're talking about? I still think 40k games need to start simple. Also, so regions, some trust from the community. See if a good guardsman game could be made. Simply story of a guardsman versus some Xenos or cultists. I think, yeah, like a guardsman, or even like lower than the guardsman, just like a civilian that had to take arms, and then they would have to be at the mercy of guardsmen and everything above. So that way you can see how because everything's glorified to make them look so good guyish nowadays. But if you went down to the lowest of the low and you had to take up arms, I think it would really show the true nature of everybody on top, Yeah. Which is actually the experience you're going to get from next release. So, yeah. God of War gameplay was the trend back then. The designs just threw me off on the Dante's Inferno game. I felt like it wasn't finished, the Dante's Inferno game. I think the first half was really nice, and then it kind of felt like they ran out of budget halfway. Out of curiosity, how much would you charge in the roughest estimate for what you're drawing now? Admittedly, that might be hard to answer. That's only hard to answer because I have to do some comparables with other artists out there and base the charge off of that. I have no idea. I have never done commission work like this before, so that's something I have to get back to you on. So this tree, this tree right here, I have to put this level of detail in these branches and these branches. And yeah. But like I said, this will be the last stream I do. Like after today, I won't be touching this for a while, but when I pick it up again, I'll start from where I left off based on this stream. But this is, like I said, this is just my break, and not to mention an illustration for Patreons, because I want to be able to reward them with something, and also it's also concept art in many ways for what you're gonna see in Death of Hope. So, I want an agri-world story where they fight some sort of simple chaos monsters the whole way through, and after the manage to fall creature a Thunderhawk lands and walk out in that cliffhanger. It's a very messed up looking tree, and it's awesome. Yeah. Well, the tree is, like I said, it's based off the Slaves to Darkness artwork. It's got less forms in it compared to the original artwork. It's got more tree-like structure, I guess, versus because in the artwork of old, it was just usually like every square inch was a new morph of something else, right? So, all right, come on, stay focused. God damn it. All right. I was thinking about display, and that's the thing, right? Like all these details, you won't fully appreciate from like just the overall image, which is why it's supposed to be put into a poster, so that when you walk up to the poster, you can stare at it for, you know, a good while. Which is the same experience I had with, you know, the older books, is that you can just stare at one page for like 10 minutes. Whereas nowadays, you kind of, the way they illustrate things, you get the whole idea and then you kind of move on, you know? Actually, if you guys didn't notice, this guy right here, um, yeah, this guy right here, oops, he's, his whole body is, it goes over like that, and it goes behind the statue. Yes, it's a statue. Or is it? And it goes into that, into the base. So this is his lower body down here, and it goes up there. Yeah. Would it make it easier to duplicate the tree details on the branches since it's small and not focus as much? I don't. When it comes to when it comes to hand done stuff, I don't like to duplicate. The Every aspect of it will be authentic. Would it make it? Imagine this drawing on some kind of display. Yeah, less is more. I would say all you need is focus and control. Yeah, old wall art in the store. Well, that's the thing too. I've heard less is more throughout my whole life, and it's something I hold to standard at work, just because I'm in the entertainment industry. But as a artist, that when I do stuff in my personal time, I totally drop the less is more stuff. I think primarily because nowadays they've been doing so much less and not getting a lot of more, that the more aspect kind of needs to be in there a bit now, just because you're getting a lot less with the less, if that makes any sense. But for me, I've always indulged in the amount of detail that is possible in a scene, and that's just my way of doing things. Really, it's not has nothing to do with what the standard is out there. And I guess you can say that's what makes my stuff is I don't like to do the less is more idea. And that's just me anyway. Like it's one of those things where like I'm the worst stick figure jar kind of thing. It was loud. Uh, so technically, no wrapped around the statue. Yeah, there's some room for going beyond the most simplistic approach. They don't understand the saying. You could describe the modern art as flat and shallow. They don't understand the saying. Yeah, I think the most challenging task will be the vista. Yeah, everything else is kind of smooth sailing. There's going to be more stuff in the foreground. I might remove some parts here, but also I'll be doing everything back there. So you can have the option of a poster with just the scenery or with the blood letter in there. Okay. Oh, there's also this little guy right here, eh? The tongue snake thing with the human face. You know what I like about Photoshop is that it's the same. For me, it's like kind of the same principle as pen and paper. The only difference is you have all the tools in one go. Kind of like instead of me having like you know 4 or 5 or 6 different types of pencils or pens, I can just focus on different tones of shades instead of having to worry about what pen or pencil I'm using. Because you can do this stuff with like the whites that you see. You can do this stuff with those eraser tools that, depending on what kind of process you're doing. I don't know if I've made any sense really. Just kind of talking. Good night, Mark. 3 a.m. here. Hey, good night, man. Talk to you later. Hope to see the final product of this. Yeah, it won't be for a while. This is going to be an ongoing thing for this piece. But if I start streaming again, it's just me taking a break. That's basically what these are. A break from the CGI stuff anyway. For some reason, I am imagining corpses hanging from the bridge, dripping blood. Yeah. Oh, you mean like behind him? Or are you talking about this bridge here? You see, once I start doing the finer details, I don't just do like a. I don't do this. I start like doing tiny dots, and like it helps me with the texture of that area. I think I might need to take away some of this. I just want to make it look like light's coming from behind him underneath. Alright, there's that. Yeah, the aqua deck, yeah. Yes. Flying ship for your next project. Would be cool, wouldn't it? Especially done in this type of way, yeah. I think I'll give the stream. I'll give this 10 more minutes, and then I'll hang around the chat box for maybe another 10 minutes, and then I'll log off. This has been a good session. If it wasn't for that guy goading me on in the beginning, I don't think I would have gone on the mic. I wasn't planning on it. So, to thank him for that. And that's the thing too, like, this isn't the only, like, it doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to look like this to be, grim dark. I think what I'll do is the next piece I'll do will be on the characters for Death of Hope, and it can still be drawn in a grim dark manner without having to have all this stuff here like this, you know. Amazing stream. Glad I could catch this one. Yeah, glad you could pop by, man. You heard about the Vermintide 2 Chaos Waste stuff? The dwarf got a troll hammer torpedo for a new weapon. Oh my god, that sounds awesome. Yeah, I love Vermintide. My buddy told me about being able to run into the Chaos Waste and just wreck Chaos Warriors and stuff, and I was just like, no way. That sounds awesome. That sounds really different from what you're used to experiencing in that game. I'll have to check it out, but I don't usually have time for games that much. I think Vermintide would be I think on my list for the things to do when I'm not doing Death of Hope. I saw that there was that 40k version of Vermintide. That looks interesting. When it comes to like like to me, like it's so fantasy. Like Vermintide, it's just like I don't know if I would enjoy the 40k counterpart as much, but I'll give it a shot. Could be pretty interesting. But mostly it's just fun to play those with your friends. It's just a big laugh, you know. I love the banter that happens between the characters, especially the dwarf. Darktide, yeah. Darktide. Can you guys see this like skeleton kid looking thing that's hidden in here? I don't know if it's maybe too dark for the stream. Uh, what about Space Hulk, the Warhammer 40k game? So I played Space Hulk. I tried it out for a bit, and I don't know. I prefer playing it single player just because it's more challenging that way. But I don't know. I was here and there about it. I think because I'm an environment artist, I'm pretty critical on the design of it. Um, the experience itself, there's some good moments. I'll say that, but I wasn't 100% sold on the whole thing. There's definitely parts that could have been better. But if you were to play it single player, I think, and you're trying to just like unlock all the mysteries and try to figure out what happened with the Dark Angels and stuff. I think that part I really like when you start putting in like story aspects like that. What I didn't like is the movement of the Terminators. I was totally put off with the clunkiness of them. Uh, yeah, the tabletop Space Hulk or video games. I prefer the tabletop Space Hulk. Space Hulk had so much potential. It still has. Oh, I mean, like the one that was released, yes. But the subject of Space Hulk still has so much potential if you can pull it off right. Um, the guys that made Space Hulk, Deathwing is coming out with Necromunda FPS in June. Huh. Interesting. We'll see how that goes. Yeah, for me, the whole playing as the Astartes, it's not as. I mean, the game Space Marine is a good example as to how playing a Space Marine in a video game is a lot of fun. It's kind of like a hack and slash, and the multiplayer is just out of this world. I love Horde mode. That's a lot of fun. But when it comes to first person shooter, I don't feel like Space Marines is the way to go. So maybe the Necromunda thing might be good. What do I know? But you know, I hope it's not a battle royale, even though that's what those games are in terms of how you play them out, I guess. But you know what's missing in this is a scorpion tail. Remember when scorpion tails were a thing for a lot of models? or for a lot of designs, sorry, in their art books. So that'll go here. I think this statue over here will have it. Not, no, it is a single player, more like a bounty hunter game. Huh. That's awesome, thanks. I have to admit they did decent with Eisenhorn Xenos where it mattered. The gameplay sucks, but they nailed the story and ambience. Are you talking about the that mobile game? Battle royales are too abundant and lacking in creative fun. You know, I wish Necromunda had novels to read and expand their lore. Yeah. Don't they have more of that nowadays with Necromunda? Excuse me. Sorry. Your art reminds me of the good old days, early '90s. Oh yeah, that's what. That's the thing. Like this is my art style. The art style that I do with a lot of Death of Hope stuff, like in terms of like the other stuff I've done, those are like 1 to 2 day pieces. Whereas this is what my work looks like when I'm actually putting a lot of time and effort into it. Whereas those pieces are generally for the concept art for the project. Whereas this is like an actual solid piece. I could do this on paper. The only thing is I wouldn't be able to do the details like this on paper. I would need a huge piece of paper. And I would be drawing with my shoulder instead of my wrist, which is something I'm not used to doing, so that would take some time to learn. But if I were to do this on paper, it would just be like this image right here, and then like that's it. Just because I would need a huge piece of paper to do this. And it's faster to do because I don't have to deal with all the eraser stuff, and sharpening my pen and making sure I got enough pencils and all the technical stuff. Let's see, Buffalo Gaming. Hey, wait, or hey, don't know if it was a mobile game. I just watched the playthrough because actor Mark Strong voiced Eisenhorn. Yes, so we're talking about the same one. Yeah, Mark Strong played that one. Yeah, I didn't get that impression, but it's still a good story. Maybe that's why they were working on 5 on live action adaptation. I think what's really gonna be interesting to see is when they touch the dark subjects of Eisenhorn, and the adaptation might not even have them in it. We'll see, and then that way you can gauge what they're trying to do. You know, I think that's a big part of also seeing how they release it is you will then truly understand the direction they're going. I mean, you already know, but it's different seeing it play out, like actually come to fruition. Okay, I think I've done enough for today. I did this guy there. I didn't finish his hand. I'll do that before I stop. Yeah. Do that before I stop. That's his thumb. That's his thumb. The series will be the last test if Grim and Dark stay or fades from the setting. Yeah. It's gonna fade, man. And then it's funny because it's gonna Grimdark is gonna fade, but then they're still gonna put, in the grim darkness of the far future. I think that's what bothers me the most is I think I'd be fine if they stopped saying it. If they're really going that route. It's almost like just by saying it, they're lying to themselves. I don't know. Maybe that's what it is. Yeah, if it fades, just look out Mark Sparker. Yeah. Oh, I'm uh, I'm only doing after Death of Hope. I'm really not doing anything else in terms of Warhammer CGI. I don't mind doing these though, and then putting it up as like posters and stuff like that for people to get. Um, the CGI stuff, I'm just like I said before. Like you guys have heard me say this many times. I don't like doing animation at all. There's so much work that goes into it, and it's not even my medium. And the only reason why I'm pushing through it is, it's what you can die happy with. Grimdark has some proper modern day representation, I guess. I'll make this guy look like he has 5 fingers, but the ring finger is like fused. I'll do a light dark here just as I start going in. Okay. And the problem is everything goes in 40K, not in Hollywood. They would never do anything remotely horrifying as the Drakari or the Demonculava. Yeah, I don't even think they would even. Yeah, they wouldn't even touch the subject matter of the Demonculava. Have I considered starting my own IP? Oh yeah. Before this, I had a miniature line lined up with its own story and everything, and I think I got totally. Yeah, I got so deterred from it because of all the people on Kickstarter who hire like several 3D artists. I had like 12 model. No, I had like 6 models, and then by the end of the project, it would be 12 models, and it was board game and stuff. It had its own story. But then when I looked at what was happening on Kickstarter, I'm like, people are just like vomiting 3D assets and STLs. I'm just like, what makes you special at that point? Everything is just like it's just like a sea of miniatures. I'm just like, yeah, okay. Okay, after this hand, I am done for the day. I'm not done, but you know what I mean. I mean, I don't think I can finish the hand without doing the whole poll, so I'm gonna just leave it there. I'm gonna hang around for just a moment just to catch up on all the comments. You got any questions and shit? Are you still planning to do Death of Hope Part 2, or that's still on the or that is still on the works? Yeah, it's I've never stopped doing it. Death of Hope is still happening. I'm just not very public about it anymore. This was a fun stream. I must retire. Got to go and make the dinner. Good night. Good night. I'll have fun. All right, man. See you later. I'm gonna give it. Let's see, what time is it? I give it 7 minutes. I'm just gonna look at this if no one's commenting and just see if I can plan out what I'll do next time. And by doing that, I just do like little doodles that help with the look. So this will be the other statue way over here. I'll just sketch it out. is the kind of artwork that sold me to 40K. I know, this is me too. The thing is, it requires passion and love for the setting to do it. And where are you gonna find that? Are you? If I draw too much into that, I might lose the aesthetic there. I think I'll do a scorpion tail on this one. Kind of like that. I'll have it more defined once I start getting in there. Let's see what it looks like with the... And the blood litter covers it. That's a thing too, like this is going to be... There's going to be a shot with him and without him. So it's not going to waste. There's going to be more stuff back here, crowded behind these pillars. Something crawling down the street. You know. Anyways, all right. I think I'm good, guys. Thanks for hanging out. I'll continue where I left off on this from this stream another time. I don't know when, but yeah, I do this for kind of like a detox from the CGI stuff. I can 100% relate. I remember starting the hobby and being sold on the idea that there was a bunch of passionate fans all having this epic vision of this dark, depressing sci-fi universe. Yeah, you felt it in their artwork. Whenever I say stuff like, take the universe seriously, I don't mean like be an asshole about it. Just more like, like look invested. And by invested I mean, make me believe that what I'm looking at, I want to play out in a tabletop or try to get some friends together to kind of live this experience through our games or your fantasy miniatures, right? Even though these models don't exist, we still had our imagination even apart from the artwork, because the artwork helped bridge a lot of the gaps of the visual stuff that you couldn't think of yourself, and then you would just play off of these visuals into the games that you played. So yeah, I'll wait a bit just in case you respond. If not, that's good. That's the stream. Hmm. I'll make this tail fused with the back. This is more of like a I forgot what I was going to say. I think I've been online for too long. Alright, guys. If that is it, I'll pick this up another time, and I'll talk to you guys later. Hope you have a good weekend. Stay safe out there. Alright, bye.